Now, having seen this movie, if you do meet an Abigail, will you be immediately suspicious that something is off about her?
As long as she's not played by Alicia Weir, I think I can take her.
Man, talk about great child performances. I'll tell you what. Why couldn't they got her? Why couldn't they got someone like this for all the nightmare movies where you needed a child actor? Any horror movie with a child actor, this is probably up there with any
Because
performances.
if they had, um, this girl would have either been on par with Robert England, if not just a tinge bit better, depending on which Freddy movie we're talking.
Yeah, man, she steals the show here. She is creepy. Well, she plays both perfect. She plays innocent well, and then she plays creepy well, and then she plays evil well. She plays all the dimensions you want a character all equally well. So
Oh
big
yeah,
props to her. She has a very bright future
oh,
in
I'm
it.
excited to see where she goes after this movie. I mean, I know she played in the Matilda musical remake, which I never watched. Um,
I'm
but
guessing
then
I'm guessing Abigail Part 2. You could just keep making Abigail movies.
no, just a quick thing. Actually, Melissa Barrera brought up a idea for a sequel. She
Hmm.
says she says she hopes they don't take it because now that she looks back on it, it doesn't sound plausible. But it would be Abigail turning Joey, and then
Hmm.
Joey and then leaves her, and so Joey starts hunting Abigail down to kill her so she can become a human again. So she's
Mm.
going through the movie trying to avoid drinking blood, trying to avoid all the temptations of being a vampire. And then at the end, they team up to fight a whole vampire clan.
So I'll be honest, as much as I like Melissa Barrera and she's great in this movie, I would think Abigail sequel would just move on from her character. There's really nothing. I don't see any reason why she would be brought back in the fold. I'm assuming Abigail and her father are going to move on from this and just go back to like Abigail's going to go back to bringing random people that are not random people, bringing people there and killing them, and you can just kind of start with that. But I don't think you need to continue Melissa Barrera's story. We can assume she went back to her son and lived happily ever after until Ghostface comes back for her again, which will happen sometime in the future.
So the part there is a slight sentence at the end that does kind of hint that Abigail is probably going to visit Joey, and that is, "I'll see you soon."
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they're best buds at the end though, which I got some problems with, but we'll get to that. The way these characters change towards the end kind of didn't make sense to me, but we'll get to that later on. So that said, Abigail, which Nick saw in theaters, I did not see in theaters. I've watched it for the first time on my television,
Projector.
and yes, indeed. Well, yeah, I guess I did see it in movie theater away, but a home movie theater. So,
Did you at least have surround sound with you?
oh yeah, absolutely. You have
Oh
to have
fuck
surround
yeah,
sound.
you watched it correctly then.
I'm not watching a movie where bodies explode into crazy amounts of blood without surround sound. Right, you got to have that for this kind of gore. So, and speaking of that, this is of course made from the Radio Silence guys, and they came out and said that this is the most blood they've ever used in a movie. So
For now.
for now, yeah. And remember, they aren't doing the next Scream movie, but so far they've done Ready or Not, Scream 5, Scream 6, and this. There might be something else, but that's what
I'm
I
sure
know
there
from them.
I'm sure there is, and I have seen Ready or Not, and I think they're talking about making a sequel to it, which makes no sense to me. Uh,
I don't think I've seen Ready or Not, so I should actually maybe check that out because
it's decent.
I mean, look, both of us were fans of Scream 5, and we were kind of iffy on Scream 6, I would say.
More fans of the first half and completely despise the second half.
Yeah, yeah. One too many false kills towards the second half there, but I think this is a good return to form. I probably like this movie on par with Scream 5, I would say, which I was a fan of. I wasn't biggest fan. I mean, Scream 4 is better. Oh, sorry. I just have a cold today, and you know, makes me express
So
honest
every time you
opinions.
say Scream 4 is good, you actually are sick because you're sick of the bullshit you are spewing out of your mouth? Gotcha.
Jill's a better girl than Amber. What is this cold I have? Jeez. Um. Anyways, That's all
I didn't
besides.
even understand what you just said.
I
Did you say
said
Richie
Jill's.
is a better killer than Amber?
Oh, I said Jill's a better killer than Amber.
Jill didn't even kill Jack.
That's what made her so good. She didn't have to. She didn't have to lift a finger. She got someone to do her dirty work for her. So
She's so good at killing people, she wasn't even there to kill her own mom.
she's a thinker, right? Uh, anyways, so Abigail. Now, I've been talking about this for a while, but I can't stress enough with everybody. When it comes to horror movies or anything horror adjacent, horror related, do not watch the trailers, people. With horror movies now, you can read a plot summary if you want, but I
The plot summary still gives away the little mid movie twist. I'm
yeah,
saying
when
twist very loosely.
no. This is designed to be a twist because the whole first half of the movie is hinting at something, but you don't know what it is. And it's about 45, 50 minutes in before you get the vampire reveal. But this is clearly going for the from dusk till dawn thing, where you have the first half of the movie is kind of
A crime drama.
a crime drama. You're just getting to know the characters, and then there's a vampire reveal, and all shit goes to hell, basically. But this is a movie where if you don't know the twist, then it's amazing when it comes. But if you've seen the trailer, because I understand in the trailer they almost have to like
They had to show the vampire, otherwise they're not going to get the right audience coming in, if any
yeah,
audience.
I get it, but it's just like the movie's like you can tell the movie's like really written to like have that twist there. Otherwise, they would have just revealed at the beginning, or like, for it to happen halfway in the movie is like, okay, this is much better going in blind. Like the best experience for this movie would be somebody who's like, they're just told the name of the movie and they just turn it on and start watching it, and then that twist will actually hit hard for them. But knowing what you know before seeing the movie, having seen the trailer, you're just kind of like, oh, we'll get to the point. Let's get to the reveal. Like, why are you sending this big twist when the trailer already reveals this? It's just it's one of those things where the marketing actually like kind of destroys the fun of the movie.
Yeah,
Because
but
this script is written with a twist in mind, obviously. So
it is. But apparently, also, I don't know if you've read this in your background checks, but apparently, this movie was somebody said that they actually went to a horror con, talked to. They said a guy that played at the end of this movie, so I'm assuming Michael Good,
mm.
and he said that the original name of this was Daughter of Dracula, which would have made this a remake.
I thought that the clear twist or what the reveal was going to be was that her father was in fact Dracula, just by like the style of like the old style mansion.
Well, that's
Clear
still
a
the
lot of wealth
theory.
there. Yeah, I guess they didn't want to flat out use the name Dracula, but I
Because
thought
he,
also that if you're going to reveal him at the end with such a like a oh my god like the way they presented him, I thought that probably should have been like a famous actor or like more reveal, like kind of like anticlimactic how they revealed him, and it's just like some random guy, and then like I would have rather them not even had the father at the end. I didn't think it was needed.
so
If it was a cool cameo like Nicolas Cage or something where you're like holy shit, like that would
or
have then.
Gary Oldman, because Gary Oldman that did play Dracula once.
And if it was like a more famous actor, known actor, I think that would have got people more excited for their sequel too, because it'd been like, oh shit, like that's the vampire. But they just revealed it as if it's gonna be a big thing, and then it's like normal looking Joe Schmo, and you're just like, well, this dude's not even cool. He's
I
getting
mean,
he's getting talked down by his daughter, and just like it's just kind of a weak reveal for him, honestly.
I will say, in my opinion, I did kind of still like how the actor played the character though, because even though it's quick 5 minute thing,
Yeah.
he got an accent down because we're all I guess and
Oh yeah.
still supposed to believe that this could be Dracula. He had the line of "Oh, I've gone by many names," and if you're looking through the eyes of Joey, yeah, that man is going to be intimidating as fuck because he could easily rip her to shreds. In fact, he was probably going to.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Everything. I'm not even hating on the actor. I just think that the right path would have been to like, ooh, what a reveal if it was just like somebody like
Wesley Snipes.
unknown actor who's played a vampire before, like a Nicolas Cage, or it could have even been the same character. Well, I guess they don't want to mix the worlds together, but it could have been the character from Renfield, the Dracula character. But
Or like I said,
just
the
something fun there.
Or you could have brought back Gary Oldman to do that cameo because Gary Oldman played Dracula in that Dracula remake.
Yeah. The father reveal at the end was for me, it's a part of my complaint about the ending almost like trying to do too much. But we'll get to that a little bit later on.
You know, you and everyone else, that's all everyone says the exact same thing, actually.
That's how I felt. I think you told me basically that there was a fight scene at the end that's supposed to be longer between
Yeah.
Joey and Frank and
Pretty much the
what's
final
that? Yeah.
fight was supposed to be added like another 10 minutes was filmed, but they took it out.
I mean, the ending was already so long that I can understand they don't want to make it any longer. All right, but let's go back to the very beginning.
They
If
kidnap
you,
Abigail.
they kidnap Abigail, which again, unfortunately, if you've seen the trailer, you know where this is heading. But we at least get some fun stuff at the beginning. Although I'll say it's so funny. The movie's so long that by the end of it, I'd forgotten about some of these characters from the beginning. Like the dude
Rickles, yeah.
Rickles, he dies so early on, and it's the movie so long after that like I forgot his character even existed.
Well, the annoying
Um,
part about Rickles is you can definitely tell he had an attraction to our to Joey, and
yeah, you
it's
didn't
just
feel,
like you killed him off pretty quick. It's like
yeah, you didn't think that felt like there was like
it felt a little forced
they're
there.
trying to force some sexual chemistry there with their stares and stuff, and then yeah, then also like
They kill him too fast.
he's kind of built up like he's gonna be like a badass, but then he dies like in the next scene. You're just like, what the hell? Like, yeah, I didn't. I
No,
felt like
actually,
his character was kind of a missed opportunity. He probably should have been there a little bit longer.
yeah, I think at least in my opinion, he probably should have been there a little longer than Sammy. But Sammy is still a funny ass character.
Oh yeah, you had to have Sammy for sure. The one character I didn't like,
I'm going to assume Dean.
yeah, unfortunately, I read the
Rest in
actor.
peace to Angus Cloud.
Yeah, the actor passed away right after filming his scenes, I guess. But I don't want to say like annoying, but it was like kind of like the way the character was just like
Well, he definitely played drug
it felt.
addict very well.
Yeah, it felt kind of like just unnecessary. Like they gave him a lot of dialogue at the beginning, a lot of scenes, but I guess he's really just there to be like the first one to be killed. But
Right.
most of his dialogue and most of his scenes were just more like annoying, I would say. And also for some reason, like at a certain points they call him like a sociopath, and like I'm like, well, nothing really has shown me that he's a sociopath, so I don't know
I don't
what's going
understand the
on.
sociopath line myself. I would have understood it if she told him he was, yeah, you're addicted to drugs, you're getting this money so you can either pay off a dealer, get more drugs. But then that would have taken away from the fact that then Frank would have told her, it's like, well, you're the junkie.
Yeah. Yeah, and so but he's credit to the movie, he's the only character that I didn't really care for. Um Everybody else is pretty fantastic. I mean,
Dan Stevens as Frank was almost
Dan Stevens is like
just
great in
spot.
every movie. I mean, I've been a fan of his since The Guest. I've been a fan of Dan Stevens since way back then. But he's always good in everything. He was in the new Godzilla Kong movie too.
Oh, okay. And then you got Catherine Newton as Sammy, and I will say she did a lot better this time than she did in Freaky.
She was great here, and I didn't know also that she is the star of the movie Lisa Frankenstein. So I feel like I'm
I
gonna
did not
watch
know
that
that either.
next. Yeah, because that movie also came out in the last year,
Directed
and
by Zelda Williams, by the way.
Robin Williams' daughter, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's next. I'm gonna watch that probably maybe even this week, I think. Because I was impressed here. She had like great comedic timing with some of her lines. And
Got
then
the
also
onions.
yeah. And then although I mean I was thinking to myself, does garlic and onions really even like remotely look alike? Like
No, they don't. That's the
I don't
joke.
think so. Yeah. But she did a great job, and even in her transformation and that scene where she has to do the ballerina dance and all that stuff, she seems fantastic, like a fantastic actress. I never saw Freaky, so I can't even like
So
but
they did not, because I saw my first time I saw Catherine Newton was actually in Supernatural. She plays Casey Novak in that show,
mm,
and she does good in that show. But it's probably because the show didn't give her a whole lot to do because she was only in like maybe 10 episodes.
Mm.
And then I just watched Freaky. I was like, okay, I like Catherine Newton in that show. I'm going to put this on. And they gave her nothing to do. When that's bad, considering the fact she was the pseudo villain. When the
Mm.
villain and her got swapped into different bodies, she becomes the killer. And they still give her jack all to do.
It sounds like more like you just did like more so the movie itself versus like actually like feeling like she did a bad job or anything. Just
Well,
the movie
yeah.
itself didn't give her anything to do. So
Because heck, even Vince Vaughn was kind of poor in that movie, in my opinion. And again, it's probably more the direction that they were given than actually them.
well, look, I mean, like I said, she did strong enough hair that it makes me want to watch Lisa Frankenstein, and just doing 2 kind of horror movies like that in a year. It's like she's obviously on her way to being I guess a scream queen if she wants to stay within the horror genre. Although, actually, when I think about it, I don't really consider this a horror movie though. So I should start.
It's more of it's classified as horror comedy action, even though it's more in the thriller
Huh.
category, in my opinion.
So it's basically 5 different genres. What?
Well, I
Look,
agree.
it's classified as an action adventure, a horror comedy. Although I think it's more of a thriller with a hint of romantic Like what?
So, like I said, I personally would put if I came up with the taglines, this would be more in a thriller category.
Mm.
But because the only horror you get is that first like 20 or so minutes when she starts killing people, you have no idea what's going on. That minute that reveal happens, though, it turns into an action.
It does. I mean, it's a common thing in horror movies and movies like this where once you have the twist or once you reveal the monster, it's like impossible for that monster to be scary anymore because you now know that what the thing is basically. So the first half of the movie, when you really don't know what's going on, there's almost like a scary tension just with not knowing what's going on. Once you know, I mean, even though it's a vampire, it's still like a little girl. So you're kind of just like, all right, well, this is not going to be that scary per se.
So you say that, and most part it's true, but as you brought up, this little girl played this role so damn well that there were scenes where I was just like, I would not be around her at all. I see her in a room, I'm leaving. And that's probably me on set, not even me.
She was sadistic, evil, and that's again why I had problems with the ending. But, but okay, let's go back for a second though. We meet our cast of characters. Obviously we talked about the cast. We mentioned Melissa Barrera is basically the main lead here, which is
Mhm.
always nice to see her after the Scream movies.
Well, if you don't
Um,
mind, there's one more character we actually did not talk about.
hmm,
Peter.
Peter, yeah, okay.
Our buff Elon Musk, as people keep calling him.
I was like, this dude is Arnold Schwarzenegger and Elon Musk mixed together. It was like distractingly looking like Elon Musk. Like I was like, did Elon bulk up 30 pounds and do a movie? Like
Well,
it was like
one
spot
thing
on Elon.
one thing I definitely liked about this character is, yeah, he's definitely very oblivious. He's not the smartest tool in the shed, but you can tell he's trying to keep everyone happy, trying to keep everyone's spirits up. The minute, and then you can tell, at least on 2 or 3 occasions, when that demeanor turns to, if you continue, this ain't going to end well. And honestly, I feel like if he would have broken to the point where he started murdering people, they would be more worried about him over Abigail.
And to me, it would have made sense for Abigail to turn him and use him to do the bidding because he just has like, but I guess when you're a vampire, you have some kind of strength anyway, just vampire strength. I thought that it's important to remember that what we're introduced to at the beginning is even though technically these become our heroes, these are all terrible human beings who are there for the wrong reasons, who have done bad things. So these are all bad people. I mean, the dude, Peter, of course, is described as like somebody who snaps necks, but
Yeah, he was
um,
the muscle.
yeah. So like these are all bad people. It's just that in this situation, like Peter, for example, seems to be like a very caring, nice person in this situation.
Well,
But
heck, even when he was told to go hurt Abigail, he tells her like, "Look, I'm sorry, I'm just doing my job here."
yeah, yeah, and that's and one reason why you can never feel it, you can never really feel that sympathetic towards the characters though is the fact that when they know she's a 12-year-old girl, they're basically okay with like, well, most of them are okay with like just killing her pretty much. Versus Melissa Barrera's the only one who's like, nope, not doing that. But the rest of them are like, yep, all right, got to kill the girl. So it's
Oh,
like when they're being hunted, it's not like they deserve to be hunted per se, which you can't never really be like, okay, well, these, I feel bad for these innocent victims that Abigail's targeting. It's like, well, bad people, but
well, to be fair, Sammy didn't want to hurt the little girl. She was more indifferent because her whole thing is she's there to hack stuff.
yeah,
And then
yeah,
you got Frank, who he literally said, "Look, if we know who you were, we weren't going to hurt you." She's like, "So if I was a normal 12-year-old girl, you would beat and torture me." He's like, "Look, I'm sorry."
yeah. He didn't have anything. He had no comeback on that one. He was like, yeah, pretty much.
And that's
Um,
pretty funny considering that his character always had a comeback through most of that movie.
yeah. We should mention also there was almost more of a cameo
With
from
Esposito?
Esposito, another guy who's like always great in everything he's in, always elevates everything he's in. Um, yeah, well, I guess he's like low key working for
Abigail.
Abigail over the last couple years. So he's like basically the one who brings people for her to hunt, pretty much. I would have liked more of him in the movie, but at least he comes back at the end and serves a purpose to a degree.
Uh, he serves a purpose, but not in the good way.
Well, look, I'll just say it. I mean, he's stupid. Like he makes this deal with Frank, and then it's like he just immediately buys that. Okay, Frank's on my side now, and turns his back to him. It's like,
Which we've heard plenty of times. Him and Frank know each other. He should know Frank will stab people in the back.
yeah, like you don't do that and then turn your back to him and just be like, all right, Frank, let's do it. It's like Frank's immediately first thing to do as with his new power is to kill kill him. So I like this guy was an idiot. Um,
I
but
guess he thought that Frank could be trusted enough. Just probably in his mind's like, look, after we kill, because to be fair, if it was him, Lambert, and Frank fighting Abigail, no chance that little girl would have won. Now,
yeah,
Lazar, on the other hand, from the lore we hear, that probably would have been a fight.
so let's go back to the beginning. Let's talk about the kidnapping for a second because Melissa Barrera, who plays Joey, we'll call her, right?
Yep.
So Joey's her role here is that she is she's a
Medic.
medic. So she would have been responsible for preparing the drugs, the anesthesia, I'm guessing.
Yes.
But at the same time, she's surprised to find out that it's a child they're kidnapping.
Most likely they weren't. She was not told. So she probably the dose that's in that syringe is probably meant for an adult.
That's why I'm like, it almost seems impossible they wouldn't have told her like, hey, we need a dosage appropriate for a child. So that just as the medic, it seems like she would definitely be informed about, hey, who am I drugging? That kind of, if you think about it, that makes no sense. But
Well, there's that. There's also the fact that what makes no sense on her part is she uses the entire syringe in one go. She didn't like put like half in, wait for the little girl to pass out.
now, I guess the bigger thing that came to mind, probably you thought about this too, which is the idea of like, why does this vampire have a pulse? And why does this damn tranquilizer affect the vampire? Like it actually not makes her unconscious. Like this is the silliest thing since tranquilizers working on Jason and Freddy versus Jason. Like how does that work?
To be fair, at first I thought she was fucking with them.
I thought
I even said it in the theaters, like there is no way that just knocked her out.
I thought so too, but by the end, and I don't know for sure, but it seems like it actually worked. It seems like
apparently it did because I doubt she would have allowed them to put her in that cage.
And if she was playing whatever, how she would go the trouble to slow down her breathing and like she listened to her post like, oh, her breathing is slow. Like it's like no, she was done, but I just don't know how that affected her or why. But it was like, and by the way, it's like, okay, you get her, you're tranquilized. I mean, I would think human nature would be like, okay, now we're gonna kill her, and then we'll figure out everything else.
So I think the reason
if you've already seen her kill some of your people, it's just like this is our chance.
I mean, they say it in or at least Joey says it. Obviously, Frank, Sammy, and Peter all were on board with just straight up killing her. Joey's the one who brought up Lazar's on his way.
Mm.
If he's on his way, we are deader than dead.
So the idea is, well, I guess they say the idea is they're gonna. What she wants to do is use her as a bargaining chip. Basically, Melissa
Yes.
Barrera wants to trade her for that.
Even though Abigail says it at least 2 different times in this movie, my dad don't love me. He got bored of me.
Yeah, my assumption would be that Lazar's gonna kill them anyways. So it's like, why not? At least in the meantime, she's here. She's trying to kill you right now. So it's like, I don't know. That seemed like an opportunity to like kill her that was kind of wasted.
Yeah, and
Um,
the other problem they probably should have had is none of them ever thought, hey, if this little girl's a vampire, she calls Lazar her father. What does that make Lazar?
mm,
Because they
true.
never say it. She 100% says it when she was possessing Sammy, but she never herself says Lazar. No one ever says Lazar's a vampire. It's like, that's probably something y'all should be thinking about.
Yeah, the first half of the movie has this whole mystery of like, is Valdez after us? Valdez is like the hired hitman for the main dude, and obviously that's all kind of BS because that's all just like.
I
But
mean, it's
what's
not
funny is
because
though
she is Valdez.
she is Valdez, but to your point, I'll be honest. Up until the end of the movie, I almost like well, for a little while there, I kind of my brain felt like okay, maybe she's the vampire, and somehow she's working for a human being. But I didn't put it together necessarily that her father
Mm.
was like a vampire also. Um, but I mean, obviously, by the end we know that to be true.
Yeah, because like I said, for me, the minute she, said Lazar's her father, and of course, trailers showed she's a vampire. The minute she said that, I was like, oh, and they're afraid of Lazar. Lazar's a vampire too.
Now, what makes her sadistic is like this is not her doing her father's dirty work. This is a
She's just
game
having
for her.
fun. Yeah.
She's having fun. She wants to kill these people. So it's like, okay, that establishes that she's straight, evil, sadistical. So her having some kind of honor code is going to be kind of off for me. But
Yeah,
um,
so don't believe her when you make a deal with her. It's not like making a deal with the devil in this problem.
yeah, if you're inherently evil as she is, then yeah, I'm not buying that her little pinky swears actually mean anything. But um, so the characters basically once they find out that what they're dealing with, you could say then the action part of the movie really kicks into high gear. The funniest scene for me is just them going into her room to try to fight her,
And
and
she's
they get their
gone.
asses just
Oh
destroyed.
yeah. But
That
for one,
that was so funny to me.
the worst part for me is they go Frank, at least. I understand Sammy and Peter would have believed this, but Frank, for some reason, thinking, oh, she's still in that room. Like, dude, she
Mhm.
killed 2 of your guys before you even realize what she is. And you're telling me you think she doesn't have a way of getting out of that room?
Yeah, yeah.
I think the funniest
Now,
part for me is literally when they come down and Joey's just looking at him like, so how did that go for you?
he's like, if you say I told you so, yeah. So one of the last two is like, do you feel like Abigail had inconsistencies in terms of like what her strength level actually is? Because at certain points, like she can be held down, she can be kind of like physically almost like you can fight her, but then other points it does seem like she also has like actual vampire, like she can like fly, do all this stuff. But then like there's certain scenes where she's like weaker. It didn't
Mhm.
really like I don't think her powers are well defined in terms of like what she can do and
Which
why
is
her being able to be held down by human beings even for a moment, unless the whole thing is just her completely letting it happen. It just kind of it was kind of off the what her strength level was, honestly.
yeah. I mean, so I will just bring this up. She actually only used a stunt double twice in this whole movie.
Holy cow!
One of those times was our muscular Arnold Schwarzenegger, Elon Musk bulldozing her to the ground. That was a stunt double.
Mm,
They weren't about to allow a 14-year-old to get just completely mollywopped by this big dude.
yeah, I can.
And I just and it could be her allowing it to happen because she even said in her cage, like, I like playing with my food. She proved that while in that cage, she can break through that cage.
Yeah.
So I think she may have just allowed it to happen.
Well, that's why it's almost like it's tricky. I can't say it's like can't say it's bad writing of that because it's like all of this stuff. It's kind of built in the idea that oh well maybe she was just playing unconscious with the tranquilizers. Maybe she was allowing them to wrestle her down. Maybe the whole thing was just like an elaborate playing with my food thing. So it's like that's kind of built in, and it just makes you question certain things. Like, well, it's like, well, there's scenes where it's like she easily could have killed everybody in this scene very, very easily. But then it's like the playing with the food idea is, I guess, like I'd rather chase you and I'd rather make it difficult or something. So, but if she was taking things seriously, yeah, she should have just wiped everybody out pretty quickly. It seems.
Honestly, if she was taking it seriously, Joey would have been the very first victim.
Hmm.
Because the minute Joey walked into that room, she would have attacked Joey, probably turned Joey. Honestly, if she played it more serious and did it, they try to make it more horror. The real twist would be Joey was turned in that very first meeting. But
Hmm.
for us as the audience, we didn't see that. So when people start being picked off, instead of it being Abigail, it was actually Joey the whole time. That would have been a
That
good
would have been
twist.
excellent. Yeah, I mean, I like that they played with when Sammy got bitten. I like they play with the idea of like, is she turning into a vampire? Is she not? And
So,
does sunlight affect her? It was a fun thing to play with that.
so I will say I'm on the fence of that. I don't think she actually turned per se.
I don't
Because
think she
notice
did.
how she no because we got two different examples of people turning in this movie. You got Sammy, who it didn't actually happen until Abigail wanted it to happen. So it makes me think she's more of a ghoul or a thrall. Then you got
Something different happened with Sammy for sure.
yeah, and then you got Frank who he turned immediately, but he was also given the full treatment of he was drained, then Lambert gave him his blood, puked out all of his humanness.
Yeah, it's with Sammy, you're right. It's just basically the biting was a way to establish some way to control her, like a connection with her. But it wasn't. We don't really know what the long term plan was for Sammy because she dies pretty quickly after
No,
becoming a
she
minion.
well
So
now we finally get to see what happens the minute that vampire touched sunlight. I mean, sure we saw it with Abigail, but that was just the hand. This one we saw the whole body, and it was fucking hilarious.
now with this sunlight, did you get a feel for the time in the movie in terms of like when it's like conveniently sunlight and then it's nighttime again? And then did it feel like there was kind of like a back and forth there? Like
Well, yeah, because
I have to watch it again, but I didn't understand. Oh, that's
so
convenient sunlight, but then it's like nighttime again.
so the sunlight showing up is not really as convenient. What was convenient was the ending of it when the sunlight just one scene they were in the library, sunlight's there, they just killed Sammy. All of a sudden, the library bookcase opens up. They're telling me they were in there for like 5 hours because by the time they
Yeah.
come back out, sunlight's gone.
And with this sunlight, I have to go back and watch it, but the other thing was like, was there a way to escape the house basically if you're seeing sunlight? It was that like something you can actually climb out of. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like I don't know. I have to go back and watch it, but it kind of went by pretty quickly. But were there like windows they could have gotten out of? Pretty much is what I'm
I
thinking.
think the only window per se was the one that Melissa Barrera opened in the library that was like, I don't know, 20 feet in the air.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
unless Abigail throws them outside that window or they
Right.
had a really long, big ladder, I don't see them getting out of that. It was pretty much like a sunlight.
Yeah. So, all right, I'll get into basically my only real issue with the movie, because the first hour and 20 minutes, I was like, this is a really fun movie. I was putting it up there with From Dusk Till Dawn, which it's kind of taking the From Dusk Till Dawn formula, kind of like again, first half is crime movie, second half full blown vampire action movie. So, and we both did From Dusk Till Dawn, so I was enjoying it a lot, and I still enjoyed the ending too. But right around the time that Esposito makes the deal with Frank and turns him, that's when things start to get kind of shaky for me because Okay, let's talk about Frank for a second. As I said, these are all bad people, right?
Well, yeah, but he's kind of the
Um,
worst one.
I don't know. I mean, a couple scenes before him turning, he's telling Joey like, go be a mom to the kid. Like
Yeah,
he's
but
actually like I don't
the
know if he's the
uh,
I know are you saying he's the worst because of what happens after he's turned or
no, because
you
you
mean
got to
like
also admit
yeah.
he says that to Joey, sure, but Abigail mentioned he also left a wife and kid behind as well.
Yeah.
So where does he get the gall to sit there and say go be a mother to your wife and kid? Is it because she's a mom? But anyway, go be a mother to your wife and kid.
Oh
Well,
yeah.
dude, what about you? You're a fucking father. How about
Oh
you go
yeah.
be a
And
dad to your wife and kid?
oh yeah, and I'm not saying again, I'm not saying that he's like a full-blown good guy by any stretch. He's a bad guy for sure. But I I thought I thought after he took out Esposito, and I'm probably the audience, I'm guessing, thought this too. I thought that the whole point was now that he had got himself the strength so he could now take on Abigail. But he immediately turns his focus to like chasing Joey and wanting to kill her, or I guess possess
Yeah,
her. And it's like kind of like, and then when he grabs her, he's like, and then we're gonna go kill your son. And it's like, I didn't turning him into a supervillain like within like 5 minutes. Just kind of like, huh? And then like within 5 minutes now, Abigail's on the good side and they're fighting Frank, and it just felt off to me. I'm like, I don't want to cheer for Abigail now. Like, you just you just spent the last hour and 30 minutes like building her up as like the evil, sadistic. She's killed most of our characters,
she
and
killed all of
now
our characters. What are you talking about?
yeah, and now it's like the movie through the story, the plot now is making me like have to see Frank as the main villain. I'm just like, I didn't. I thought the more fun direction was just like Frank, who seemed like a smart, like plotting person, was like, I got the power, so now that I can fight Abigail. But instead,
So,
he turns into like generic supervillain. Like, eh.
so to be fair, when I first saw it, as you said, I was thinking, okay, Frank's gonna now get the strength, but because Abigail's still played by a little girl, they're gonna kill Abigail quickly. Lazar's gonna come in, and then there's gonna be a fight between Frank and Lazar. That's what I thought. I was wrong. Because Frank, as you brought up, immediately just goes again 180 real quick. It's like now that I got the power, it's the ego. Because throughout the movie, his ego was there the whole time.
And I get that too, but unless we're just saying that becoming a vampire like turns your evil up to like the loudest volume, I just didn't see any reason why he suddenly wanted to kill Joey. Like they were
He
just
hated her the
they
whole
were
damn movie
yeah yeah, but they're still working together for the last like half an hour of the movie.
to
It's
survive.
like,
Now he no longer needs her to survive. He even said
but
it. It's like I told you not to fuck with me.
but even if he wanted to kill her, wouldn't it make sense to like play along with the idea to get her to help take out Abigail and then turn on her? It just
His ego, he literally did not think she was going to stand a chance. And to be fair, Joey by herself didn't.
now Frank is an idiot too because he first starts when he first sees Abigail, he drains her of her blood
Mostly
and
didn't drain her all the way.
mostly. So I'm like, okay, well he didn't know, and then she tells him, "You have to drain me." He does it again, but a second time doesn't actually kill her. Like,
because he
dude,
then because he
I don't
then
understand.
I know why. It's because as you brought up, Frank's now all of a sudden his evil turned up to like 10 times. So he's
His
getting
in-
sadistic and
but
he realizes.
his intelligence got turned down by 15 volumes though.
So his whole thing was I noticed Abigail and Joey are both, cozy and friends. How fun would it be to have these friends kill each other?
Hmm.
That's what he's thinking. There's no way that, or he was just getting full. Because let's face it, she apparently had a lot of blood.
It's just like it's almost like he took himself out basically because he refused to kill either the one. I mean, he just kept playing with them basically until they just double teamed him and killed him. Um, I
It's the
just
ego.
yeah the things about the ending was just for me. I didn't like Frank turning to a supervillain, and now on the back end now, Abigail's like, oh yeah, Joey, like help me and I'll let you live. I thought the proper ending again with the character was at the end, Abigail is like, I lied and like goes to kill Joey, and then Joey has to take her out. But I almost got the feeling
Or
just
turns her.
yeah, but you know what? I got the feeling that like they only didn't do that as one of two reasons I could think of. One was we have to save
Sequel.
Abigail for a sequel, or it might have been as simple as like we don't want to kill a child character on screen. I had to did you have that I had the thought of like, oh well, they don't want to actually like stake her or like have her
I don't.
explode because she's a
I don't think they would have cared. I think it was a potential sequel. Me personally, because I even told Amelia this. Hey, how funny would it be if when the second one starts, they actually went with Melissa Barrera's idea, and Lazar jumps out at her while she's driving away, turns her, and then says, "Yeah, Abigail needs a mom, and you two seem pretty close."
Yeah, well, the thing with the ending, I thought a better ending might have been, yeah, Abigail turning her because you had this thing of like Melissa Barrera having been a bad mom to her son. So Abigail turning her and then them having like a mother-daughter vampire dynamic seemed to like because Abigail's looking for like more of a, she's not getting what she wants out of her father. And then Joey's been a bad mom to the son. I just felt like naturally they would come together and kind of like have a mother-daughter thing. But the ending we got, I'm kind of like, again, I said earlier, like, I didn't think we needed the father. Him coming in, like a big reveal, but then it's just like normal Joe Schmo. And then kind of an awkward communication where he's just like, he's going to kill Joey, but the daughter's like, she was here when you weren't. And the dad's like, okay. But then they both kind of smile and like, it's dinner time. And she walks away and it's like, I don't even understand what just happened. Like, I don't, but
So I didn't understand that too much either for one main reason. We're told Lazar does not care for Abigail. He got bored with her. He no longer, I guess, cared that she's his daughter.
Yep.
Which, to be fair, the girl's like in her is in like 500 years old, so she should be out on her own by now.
And to be fair, I mean, it's not to say he does care, but I mean, he did show up, so he did come at the end. So
well, yeah, but it just makes me wonder what his thought process is. Because to be fair, I feel like it kind of feels a little bit more like she has more control over her vampirism than he does. Because it literally did take Abigail jumping in front of him before it finally snapped him out of wanting to feed on the woman. And he even said, while almost shaking in anticipation, is you might want to get out of here because I will kill you.
Which wouldn't make sense. There's no reason why she would be more in control or have more power than him.
Maybe he just never cared to actually learn to control it.
I don't buy Lazar letting her go, but even more so, I just don't. Abigail turning back into like the innocent 12-year-old girl and like being best friends with Joey at the end. It doesn't line up with like earlier in the movie when like she's like admitting like, hey, this is fun. I just kill people for fun, basically. It's like I think the end would have been. I get it. You got to accept sequels and stuff, but
what if
the ending was anticlimactic? I felt like
I got a what if. What if Abigail had already gone and killed Joey's family, and she just wanted that last bit of "I'm messing with you."
Yeah, I can see that. Well, yeah, either way, yeah, like I said, Abigail saying "I'll see you soon" doesn't bode well for Joey's future, anyways.
No, it doesn't.
I think she needs to act like she needs to live a life as if she's hiding from Ghostface and go live in the mountains somewhere. And what?
Abigail can smell her
From miles away.
I'm just surprised that the ending did not actually end with Melissa Barrera being turned or Abigail being killed, as you said. I do agree with that. But for the most part, I don't mind the big reveal of Lazar. Because the few minutes we get with Lazar, he struck me as someone as, you're right, I don't want to mess with you. There's something off about you. Even though we don't see it in this, there is something off about you.
Yeah. All right. Categories?
All righty. Well, I don't think we need to go over a standout performance with this one.
Yeah, I mean, you have definitely the main girl, the child actress,
Yeah,
amazing.
Alicia Rear.
Alicia Ware, shout out to Dan Stevens, of course, as well. And Melissa Barrera was solid too. The acting was good all around.
Yeah, but I'm giving it to Alicia Rear
Oh, easy.
because originally when I first saw the trailer, I was thinking, okay, child actor, probably not going to be good. You know, a bunch of criminals fighting against a teenage vampire, probably not going to be good. And I was pleasantly surprised. So I'm giving it Alicia Weir. She's great with the, as you said, the scared little girl act. She's great
Yeah,
with the sadistic act. She's just,
solid.
again, the fact that she did almost all of her own stunts, which the second stunt she did not do was most of that final fight. Because
Mhm.
again, you can't, I don't think they wanted a 14-year-old getting her ass beat to a 38-year-old Dan Stevens.
Yeah, they had to handle that in a very specific way to make it work. So,
So,
they did a
but
good
for the
job.
most part, she did all her own stunts. Apparently, the jumping on the railing and running across the railing, that was actually her idea.
Mhm. Um, yeah, easy call for me. Stand up performance.
Tommy Jarvis Award.
To be fair, all of them, because we do get that one scene that she explains why they are all targeted.
Yeah, roundabout, they're all bad people. They put themselves in a bad situation, even though they didn't anticipate the girl being a freaking vampire. Everybody is responsible
Well,
for
I'm just saying
influence.
that's their past that it's coming back to haunt them.
Yeah.
Because Sammy, she ended up actually stealing money from Lazar. That was why she was targeted.
Mhm.
Freaking Joey killed because of her mistake being high that day. One of Lazar's top men died.
Yep.
So they all had a reason to be there. So I think the Tommy Jarvis Award goes to all of them. Or you can count Lazar because Lazar's the one who turned Abigail.
Nah, I like your first thought. I'm going with all of them. They all share a piece of the Tommy Jarvis Award.
What would you do?
After tranquilizing Abigail, I would have took her out.
That you're talking about when you realized she was a vampire.
Took her out and then try to figure out a way to get out before Lazar becomes. As we found out, Lazar ended up coming a long time later. So
Right. I
they would
will
have had plenty of
say,
time to find a way out. So
I will say, no. If I was this bandit group and I kind of knew what who Lazar was, I mean, I heard that name before the house got locked down, I'd leave.
yeah,
I'm just going. I'm okay. There's a gate over the door. I'm opening the window and getting out that way.
there had to be a way. Yeah, I agree.
Needed more focus.
In the context of this movie's story, I'm going to say no. Or I guess really the best way to figure this out is why was Rickles targeted and why was Dean targeted? Because they were
Right.
the only because they died before the actual conversation. We don't know why they were targeted.
Yeah, and Wrinkle seemed like a good dude, so it'd be interesting to see like what bad things he was doing.
Well, even Joey, when she was doing her little magic trick, said, "All I'm going to say to you is ooh rah with a dark pass."
Hmm. Um. Okay. Well, I would say you're right. I would like to know more about Abigail and her father, of course, but it wouldn't have been a right fit for her to like go on monologue explaining everything. Which actually she did have quite a couple of speeches, but it wouldn't have made sense in this story for us to find more about that. So, um,
Would you recommend?
As for recommending, yes, this movie is fun. It's actually has a lot of good character moments, which surprised me, even though these characters are mostly stupid.
well, yeah,
like Sam and Peter, right before Sam becomes the thrall. That was actually a pretty good character moment for her because she was kind of breaking down. She's like, this house is too big. I don't think I'm going to be able to do this. And he's like, you're a smart girl. You're my friend. We can get through this as long as we're together. Obviously, a little bit more heartfelt, but it's actually a pretty good moment still.
good moment, and very sad to see how quickly that friendship ended.
Yeah, and then and then also all the characters were good in the movie. The action was good. Even though a lot of people didn't care for the ending because they were doing too much, I like the ending, especially that fight scene. I was not expecting a fight in this movie. So,
Yeah. I I also recommend the movie. It was a fun movie. It's one of those movies where, you just kind of shut your brain off and just watch, be entertained. A lot of fun action. Although again, the best way to view this movie would be to like not know the twist. So knowing the twist, you do feel like the first half of the movie is kind of like moving towards to the twist, but since you already know the twist is, it kind of feels like all right, let's get to the reveal then. But yeah, just a few minor issues with the ending, but overall a fun watch. And if there was a sequel, I'd be hyped to see it.
and as always, folks, don't use your real names when kidnapping little girls.
Or just don't kidnap little girls at all.
Because remember, if someone gets you and tortures you, you can get the rest. You don't have nothing to rat out because you don't know their real names.
And if you're not a vampire, get some sunlight. It's good. It gives you some vitamin D. Healthy for the brain, healthy for the body.
And if you are, please don't be sadistic. Just feed to survive. Be happy. Enjoy your life, your undead life, and
Don't pull a Frank and suddenly become
super
what
evil.
appears to be the biggest supervillain of all time. So yeah, that dude became like over the top evil. So